Namaskar. Welcome to another episode in the Hype versus Reality series. Now, if I tell you that BJP is primarily a party from one state, that is Uttar Pradesh, maybe a little bit from Gujarat, and in rest of the country, it is a struggling political party. In the Northeast, it is in power because of small political groups at times who are unreliable, and in the other places, it is managing to retain power. Now, there'll be hardly anyone who is going to believe this statement. In fact, many of you are going to start jumping. The common perception is that BJP is ruling over half of India, and very soon it is going to have other states under its fold. So, how can you say it is a party from a single state? So, as usual, when in doubt, look at data. So, let's look at the data behind this statement of mine. Now, there is one word that all of the BJP leadership uses very often during and after election. This word is Prachand. They always use the word Prachand Bahumat. Prachand is a Hindi word and it has several meanings. Now, I am translating it as massive mandate, but I'm not sure what the BJP thinks about this word. Because when I googled this word to find its meaning, I got a very different translation from Google. It says Prachand means fierce. Now, not believing Google too much, I wanted to check with other online dictionaries. The one I chose is Shabdkosh, and here you can see the umpteen number of translations of the word Prachand. It means wanton, pelting, intense, stormy, tearing, violent, heady, and many more other words. Many of the translated words have a negative connotation, so I don't know exactly what the BJP means by a Prachand Bahumat. However, the leadership of BJP keeps using this word Prachand very so often. Whether it is before the elections or after the election, they always declare that they have won by a Prachand Bahumat. Even if their vote share decreases, it is still a Prachand Bahumat. They had declared in West Bengal that they will win with Prachand Bahumat, and now the same statement Amit Shah has made in Hyderabad last week that they are going to win with a Prachand Bahumat. Now, it is these sort of statements that create the hype that BJP is a huge party with a huge mandate. In today's episode, I am going to show you that this hype created that BJP is governing half the country is actually wrong. The vote share of BJP is far, far less, and it comes primarily because of its win in Uttar Pradesh. Some basic data first. We have 28 states and 9 union territories. The population of our states in October 2021, as projected by the RBI, stands at 132.48 crores. On the top of the list is Uttar Pradesh with 23 crore population, and at second place stand Maharashtra and Bihar, both around 12.5 crores. The population of the UTs is 4.5 crores. On top of the list is Delhi, 2 crores, followed by JNK, 1.3 crores. So the projected population of our country in October 2021 stands at 137.03 crores. However, all the union territories do not have a legislative assembly. There are only 3 UTs with an assembly, so the total population gets reduced, and the population which I am looking at is that of states and UTs having assembly is 136.06 crores. Now let's look at how much of our population is governed by which political party. So here's the chart which I have made. BJP governs a total of 66.8 crore people, which is 49.1% of our population. At the second place is Shiv Sena, which governs 12.44 crore, at 9.1% of the population. At the third place is Congress, which governs a total of 10.88 crore people, which is about 8% of our population. And the list goes on. So if I plot these figures, the chart looks something like this, where BJP governs about half the country and the remaining half is shared by many political parties. And the same data on the India map looks something like this. This is very familiar to all of you. As far as the governance in states and UTs goes, it is shared between alliances and single parties. Alliances in our country are in power in 17 states or UTs, and a single party is in power in 14 states or a UT. Now, the population under the alliance is 46%, and under a single party is 54%. Now, the election framework in our country is such that it really doesn't matter whom I vote for. I will be governed by the party which gets majority in that election. So it's like winner gets all. But then how many people actually supported that party? That's a different issue. And that is called the vote share. So now I am going to calculate the vote share of the parties in these 31 states and union territories. However, there is not enough time in this episode to show you the calculations for all the 31 states. So I have selected just a few states. Now, just to keep the calculation simple, I have selected 8 states where BJP is in rule on its own majority. These are UP, MP, Karnataka, Gujarat, Assam, Haryana, Uttarakhand, and Himachal. The total population which is governed by BJP in these states is 53.4 crores, and the data of vote share I'm going to take from the last assembly election conducted in that state. So obviously, the propaganda by BJP will be that we are very strong in these 8 states we govern 53 crore of people. Now observe this table very carefully. We have just discussed the population of these 8 states being 53.4 crores. The number of voters in these states, according to the Election Commission of India voters list, is 35 crores. Now, on the day of the election, only 23.65 crore people came out and voted, which means the voter turnout was 67.6%. Voter turnout is a figure which is regularly told to you during the election period. So the voter percentage is only 44.2% of the population. Now, out of these 23.65 crore voters who came out and voted, let's see how many voted for the Bhartiya Janata Party. The total number of votes for BJP which were cast in these states is given in this column, which total to a little over 9.5 crore. The vote share of BJP was 40.7% when you aggregate over the entire country. So the fate of 53 crore people was decided only by 9.5 crore people. This also means that 59.3% people did not vote for BJP, which means the majority vote in these states was against the Bhartiya Janata Party. Now I want to compare this vote share with that of the Congress. Congress is something which we all of us have written off and we think it is on a downward trend. Now look at the light blue columns. The first one here is Congress vote share, which is 23.92% in these 8 states where BJP is supposed to be very strong. The difference between the two is hardly about 17 to 18%. If the BJP got 9 crore 62 lakh votes, the Congress also ended up with 5 crore 65 lakh votes. There is one more very interesting aspect which this table has thrown up. If you look at the last column, this is BJP votes minus the Congress votes. So in UP, BJP got over 3.5 crore votes to that of the Congress. But Madhya Pradesh, BJP got only 49,000 votes more. Karnataka, BJP was behind by 6,62,000 votes. And if you see the other state, it is not that the BJP is ahead with a huge number of vote margin. Look at Himachal Pradesh, 2,65,000, Uttarakhand, 3,40,000, Haryana, 10,50,000. What this actually means is that BJP is in power in all these states, barring UP, with a wafer thin margin. So here is the vote share analysis bar chart. The first bar here indicates the population in the 8 states, which is 53.4 crores. The number of voters as per election commission is 35 crores. The number of people who actually voted is 23.65 crores, and out of this BJP votes were 9.63 crores. The people who voted against BJP were 14.2, and out of which 5.66 crore votes went to the Congress. The same exercise I have done for all the 31 states and union territories, and I'll show you the final results in this bar chart. The first one is the population in these states, which is 136.06 crores. The number of voters is 92.2 crores. The people who voted in these elections is 63.89 crores. The votes which came to BJP, just you can observe how small the percentage was, 18.6 crores. 45 crore people were against the BJP in the country in the Legislative Assembly elections. Out of this 45.29 crores, Congress got 11.65 crores. So the Congress still remains the strongest challenger on an all India basis to the Bhartiya Janata Party. And this fact is very well known to the BJP. And that explains a lot when we hear about how BJP people keep talking against the Congress and its leaders. It appears that BJP still has a fear of the Congress that it might get back into power. Having got this data, there is so much of analysis that one can do. I have done a few exercises which I like to share with you. The difference between the vote share of the BJP with the Congress stands at 10.9%. This means that 5.5 percentage point difference in the votes is enough to topple BJP's apple cart. Now, if I plot this data in a pie chart, you will notice that the BJP voters are less than one third. The remaining country, in some form or the other, has voted against the BJP. And plotting both the pie charts side by side, it will be clear that governance is one thing, but the vote share is a totally another thing. The country is governed by almost about 15-20 parties, whereas the votes have gone to about 100 of parties. So BJP, with a vote share of 29.12%, is able to rule 49% of the population. Now, in the end, I'll try to explain my statement that BJP is predominantly a UP party. These are the states where BJP is in power on its own or with alliances. I'm showing the difference of BJP votes with that of the Congress. So UP is way ahead of Congress with more than 39% vote share. Madhya Pradesh, as I told you, only 49,200 votes ahead of the Congress. Karnataka, it's in the red. Meghalaya, it's in the red. Pondicherry and Mizoram, BJP is in the red, which means it's behind Congress, though it is in power. And the remaining states, the difference is less than 10% in Gujarat, Assam only 3.5, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Himachal. In the northeast, the BJP retains power primarily because of its alliances with the local political groups. And in the end, I'm going to show one very interesting chart to you. Here are the states listed where BJP is either behind the Congress or the difference is less than 5 lakh votes. And this is a huge list of 20 state assemblies. Out of the 31 legislative assemblies, in 11, Congress has more votes than BJP, and in 9, BJP leads by less than 5 lakh votes. The list is big. Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra, Rajasthan, Kerala, Telangana, Punjab, Chhattisgarh, Meghalaya, Puducherry, Mizoram. These are all states where BJP is behind Congress by a massive amount of votes. So out of 136 crore population, BJP supporters are only 18.5 crores. Congress remains the main contender, and this is something probably rest of the nation knows except Congress itself. And the footprint of BJP remains that of a UP party which is trying to expand in the northeast, but it is almost zero in the south. So that's all for this week. I hope you liked this episode. Do write to me about this. I'll see you again next week with some other interesting facts. Till then, namaskar and goodbye.